Hey folks, David Stewart here. I hope you guys are having a great day. Why is WoW or EverQuest or Final Fantasy, any MMO, why is it difficult to quit? Now, the obvious answer most people would think of is, well, these are highly addictive games, so in order to quit them, you have to break the cycle of addiction. But I actually don't think it's that at all. Rather, I think it has to do with investments and basically costs of leaving. Now, the addictive quality of the game may have something to do with people originally investing their time into it and enjoying themselves. World of Warcraft, certainly when I first got into it, was a very fun game and was definitely had some of those addictive design elements. It gave you little rewards for doing things in the game, and of course it had random reinforcement with loot. If you killed a boss, you might get a piece of loot, and that random reinforcement can be very powerful. But when it comes to quitting the game, I think there's something else going on here that is a little bit deeper than that, because the truth is that WoW has been bad for a long time. I made a video on this, and only now are people really jumping off the ship. Why has it taken so long for people to quit WoW when they've been unsatisfied with the game for years at this point, maybe 10 years? And the reason is because there's an investment that goes into playing WoW, and you don't want to lose that investment. And the design, in a lot of ways, has to do with this feeling of investment. You have a character that you've played, and that character has history. The character is holding items which you have acquired by playing the game. Some of those items might be special. They might be very rare items, or they might be very rare items that you can transmog in there, therefore show your history to other players on the server, and you have to walk away from that. In essence, it's like you are giving up ownership in something. So the items that you acquire in World of Warcraft, it's like you have a kind of digital ownership over them. And in order for you to be willing to walk away from this thing which you have invested time and energy to acquire, which you own, it's kind of like leaving town, but you're also leaving all your stuff behind. You know, it's one thing to move from one town to another, but it's quite a different one to leave your house behind and everything else behind and like start with zero somewhere else. So the investment that people have in their characters, the investment that people have in their items, they don't want to give up that investment and go to another game where they have zero. So it's a giving up of ownership thing. You get attached to the things which you've acquired. You know, like I have Thunder Fury on one of my characters, and like a lot of people, I got it after vanilla, but it's still a pretty rare item, and you have to do a fair bit of effort in order to just acquire the pieces and to make Thunder Fury. And to be able to walk around with Thunder Fury on, people are like, oh, they notice it, they know this item, it's a cool thing to own. In order to go to a different game like Final Fantasy, you're starting at level 0 or level 1 as a scrub with no gear and nothing special about you. You really are giving up a large amount of ownership stake of wealth that you've acquired in World of Warcraft. Now, we wouldn't think of it as wealth like, in a house or computer or something, or a phone, or whatever you happen to be watching this on. In that same way, it's not a physical thing you can touch, but it functions like wealth in this virtual environment called World of Warcraft. If you look at World of Warcraft as kind of a metaverse or like a different universe that you exist in through your avatar, then you do have ownership over those things, and you care about owning those things, and you don't want to lose the things which you've acquired ownership in. Even though you can't put your physical hand on Thunder Fury, there's status that goes along with wealth in those games. There's titles. I have like the Insane title, which is a pretty insane title to get. And in order for me to go to Final Fantasy XIV, where my grandiose title is Life of the Party, because I got like 10 commendations for healing dungeons or something. It's like you're going from like elite no life to like complete scrub, and you're giving up status and wealth to do that. The other thing is friends. One of the reasons that like I quit WoW and then keep coming back to it is my friends keep playing it. So when it's time to play a game together, it's going to be like the new WoW expansion. So in order for you to go to a new game, what are you giving up? There's a lot of costs, just like how there's costs for you to move from one house to another, move across the country to a different state. There's costs from switching games, and just like how you might be moving from one state to another, what are you giving up? Well, you're giving up your property, you're selling it and hopefully acquiring new property. but you're giving up your social circle to a great extent. You're not going to be able to hang out with the same people that you did hang out with. You're not going to be able to go to the same stores. You're going to have to lose the investment of knowing where things are in the old place, and you're going to have to reinvest time knowing where things are in the new place. You're going to have to invest new time in making new friendships and developing those. You're going to have to invest time in acquiring new items that fit your new life, invest time in learning your new job. So there's a huge investment that has to happen for you to switch cities and jobs and that kind of stuff, and a big cost. You have to do new investment, and then that really is a cost to moving. So most people are not going to move unless they feel like there's a real benefit to moving, that the benefit to moving, what they gain out of it, is going to replace all the loss that they're experiencing from moving from their old town. So it's the same thing with moving MMOs. When you move from World of Warcraft to any other MMO or to any other game, really, well, what are you losing? You're losing friends, you're losing this virtual ownership that you have, and that's a cost. So it's actually really significant that there's been a huge exodus of World of Warcraft over to Final Fantasy, or really just out of World of Warcraft to anything else. They could be playing Call of Duty, it doesn't really matter. These are people that have basically made that value calculation that they're really not, what they're giving up is not such a high cost that they're not going to recoup it elsewhere. That, in other words, they're going to get way more out of just giving up all of that ownership that they have over things and all of that social circle they have through the game to go somewhere else. The truth is, like, when I quit WoW, and every time I quit WoW or I go to a different game, I'm basically starting from scratch. My friends really don't come with me. So to play Final Fantasy 14, I just had to go, well, I'm going to play. I just picked a random server to play on because none of my friends were going to play with me. So there was no reason to coordinate that. Now, some people were able to get enough people interested in quitting World of Warcraft that they could all go to Final Fantasy. And that's also significant in how bad the game has really gotten, how bad Blizzard has gotten, that there's enough of a impetus that it's like your whole friends can move over to the new game and try it out that way. And there's lots of guilds that have been doing that. So this is something that the last time it happened that I remember in WoW was over 10 years ago, where whole guilds were quitting the game to go play Guild Wars 2, quitting the game to go play Aeon or go play War Online or something like that. That happened years and years ago, where people got dissatisfied with the direction the game was going. Really, I'd say the big shift started in Wrath of Lich King and really kind of took hold in Cataclysm. People were started to get really bored of the game and really not like where it was going, and quit and went to other games and got their whole guild to go and try another game. Now, I've done that with guilds, but it never really sticks. So that's why you end up keep coming back to World of Warcraft, is that's where the friends end up being. So it's pretty significant, is what I want to say, is that people are able to suddenly have this shift of it's really not costing me that much to go to this other game compared to I'm giving up so much to go try out this game. For me, I wasn't playing a lot with my friends in WoW anyway because we weren't really online at the same time. So, I'll just go play Final Fantasy 14. I have to give up all that stuff and just know that no friends are going to play with me. That's kind of a big cost for people who are really entrenched in their guild or their social circle with WoW or with EverQuest or something like that. Indeed, there's people who've been playing EverQuest since 1999 and they're still playing it more than 20 years later because that's where all their friends are. That's the game that they know. They don't want to learn a new game. I've had friends tell me that. I don't want to learn a new game. They understand that it's going to cost them something to go to another game. They're going to have to spend time and effort learning how to play that game, learning where things are. It's easier to just play WoW where you already mastered the game and you already know what's up, and you can just really focus on learning that one new little piece of content that happens to be out rather than having to learn the whole game. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. That's really where the cost is. It's a different layer of psychology. It's not that you're addicted to WoW because of the random reinforcement. That maybe gets you into WoW early, but it doesn't make it stick. And in fact, the hype around items in WoW has been bad at this point for 8 years. Now, maybe since Warlords of Draenor, for sure. Warlords of Draenor is when they destroyed all kinds of unique itemization, so there was really no impetus to go out and get like some special item like there was in previous expansions. It was all just kind of gray item level. This has higher item level than that. Well, I guess I put on this one. So there's really, like, the random reinforcement stuff has been bad for a while. The addictive nature of the game has been kind of gutted, and it's really just like a game that people continue to play because they have an investment in it that they don't want to lose. They have some ownership in it that they don't want to give up to go do something else. Now, I will say the first time I quit WoW, it was really not to play any MMO at all. It was to play single-player games. And so unlike World of Warcraft, if you go and you turn off Skyrim or something and you go turn it back on 2 years later, you haven't lost anything because you didn't have friends inside the game. You know, your little house that you built is still there. With maybe you adopted some orphans. You can open up your quest log and see where you were in the game and just continue on. And that's not really the way an MMO works. It moves past things without you. So there's the last thing there is maybe like the fear of missing out. But I think for a lot of people, that fear of missing out, there's really nothing to miss out on this point. So the fear of missing out doesn't exist anymore because it's like, oh, I'm going to miss out on this next content patch. Well, there's no content. Or they like clear out the raid the first week and they're like, what do we do now? You know? So the fear of missing out that used to keep people really involved with these constantly patching games, that's gone as well because they're not really patching or updating. You know, WoW doesn't patch in a whole lot of content these days. It's just one raid for, at this point, like 9 months or something before they release another raid. That's a long time for people, especially people who are like hardcore players, to want to even bother with one piece of content. There's nothing for them to be afraid of missing out on. If I cancel my subscription, I won't get those weekly quests for my Covenant. You log back in and you can just do them if you want, but they're boring and stupid anyway. There's nothing to miss out on. So the fear of missing out part has disappeared as well, and it really just comes down to I'm losing an investment. I'm losing part of me, part of my identity by giving up this character that I've played for 15 years, 20 years, not 20 years, but like 15 years, and moving on to something else where I'm brand new and green and I don't know how to play and I don't know anybody. You lose something that you've acquired. That's really what it is. It's harder to, and I think there's a little bit stronger psychological impact to losing something which you have versus gaining something which you don't have. People are more afraid of losing things they have than, you know, are motivated to gain something that they don't have in a lot of cases. So I guess that explains the insurance market. So anyway, guys, leave me your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time.